Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy. I'm really excited. Today I'm going to be talking all about book to screen adaptations. And I think I've compiled a list of all of the at least recent things that have come to screen, and I'm going to bucket them into different categories. So the first group of books or adaptations I'm going to talk about are the things that I have watched but not read. Then I'm going to talk about the things that I have read but not watched. Then I'm going to share the things that I have both read and watched. And then finally, the things that I have not watched and not read. So I would definitely love to hear your guys' thoughts. Are there any adaptations you're dying to watch and haven't seen yet? Are there adaptations that you have no interest in seeing? Are there books that you've been thinking about reading because you like the show so much or the movie so much? I'd really love to know, so leave those comments down below. All right, first up are the things that I have watched but not read. The first one is Wheel of Time, and I watched, I think it was just season 1, and thought it was really interesting. I was fascinated by the world building and the characters, and I'm definitely going to continue watching, but I don't really have an interest in reading it. First of all, it is a chunky series. I think there's like maybe 13 or 15 full-length novels. And on top of that, I think each book is upwards of 1,000 pages. And so just the vast amount of content, the amount of pages, the amount of hours it would take for me to listen to those books, I think I'll probably just stick to the TV show. Maybe if someone can convince me that the books are really worth it, I might give book 1 a try, but it's too much. I think I'll stick to the TV show. The next one is Game of Thrones, and for similar reasons to Wheel of Time, these books, they're too big. And I've just heard that J.R.R. Martin has like a really flowery, descriptive way of writing that like meanders quite a bit. And I just don't think that writing style is gonna be for me. And on top of that, I know that the last book or books in the series, the release date is just a big question mark. Like nobody has any idea when those books are gonna come out or that final book is gonna come out. And I am not interested in starting a massive epic fantasy series that's not finished. Those are hard because the weight, it just like kills your soul. So I don't anticipate ever picking up the Song of Ice and Fire or whatever it's called. But I loved the show, minus the last season, and thought it was excellent. But even with how much I liked the TV show, it's not enough for me to read all the books and for me to wait until who knows when to finish the series. I recently started the new Lord of the Rings adaptation, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed the first couple of episodes that came out, but unpopular opinion, I don't want to read those books at all. I vaguely remember in high school reading The Hobbit and feeling so lukewarm about it. I feel like I actually recently might have picked up the audiobook for the first Lord of the Rings book, and I made it about 30 minutes into listening, and I just didn't care. I was like, oh, this is too much for me. Back in high school when the movies came out, I remember really, really liking them, but I don't see myself ever reading the books. The next one was one that I just recently learned is a book, and I honestly don't know which came first, but that's The Princess Bride. And that was one of my favorite movies growing up. I remember we used to watch that as a family on our long car trips, like over and over and over again. There are so many quotable lines in that. There are so many iconic scenes that to this day still really stick with me. I loved that movie so much, and I didn't even know that it was a book. So maybe I'll give that book a go. Although if it's not as good as the movie, I think that will be a huge bummer. I don't know, have any of you guys read The Princess Bride? If you have, let me know your thoughts. The next book series I've not read, but I have watched, is Bridgerton. I love historical romance, but for whatever reason, Julia Quinn is not my favorite author. I read another one of her quartets, I think, and it was just fine. So I never thought about picking up the Bridgerton series, but I love the TV show. So I kind of flip-flop back and forth about whether or not I want to read the books or if I'm content just watching the TV show. I think the show is so good. The cinematography is so good. The costumes are beautiful. The acting is really great. I love the overall production. I think it's so good. And I have a feeling it's going to be better than the books. So I've not read the Bridgerton series, and I probably won't. And then the last series that I've watched but have not read is The Witcher. And I've not read this because I've heard a few things. I think that series is a mixture of novels and novellas or short stories, and the reading order is confusing to me. So I feel like that's been kind of intimidating and has been one of the reasons why I haven't read it. But I've also feel like I've seen a lot of other booktubers who I really trust say that the TV adaptation is better than the books. And a lot of them also say that the video game adaptation is like the best, but I don't play video games, so that's totally over my head. I don't think I'll ever read the Witcher books or series, whatever it is, but I do love the show. It's so good. Now, the only thing that I could think of that I have read and not immediately watched the TV adaptation is Heartstopper. My sister recommended this series to me, and right away I fell in love. I read those graphic novels so quickly, and when the TV show came out, I watched the first episode, and the characters didn't quite match what I had envisioned them sounding like or what scenes felt like to me as I read them. And so I watched the first episode and then I never continued. That's the only thing I can think of that I've read and not immediately gone to watch, because I get so excited when books or series get turned into TV series or movies, because I love watching TV and I love watching movies. If I can watch some of my favorite books come to life, that is almost always going to be a win. It's rare for me to read something and not watch the adaptation. Now, a few of the things that I have both read and watched are, the first one I can think of is Outlander. If you know anything about me, I love Outlander. Listening to those audiobooks was the experience that helped me fall in love with audiobooks, and I binged that whole season, or that whole series. I read or listened to all 8 books back to back to back to back, because at the time I had a really long commute to and from work. It was such a comfort listen and I loved it so much. I actually feel like I watched the first couple seasons of the show and then I learned that it was a book series, and I was like, great, while we're in Droughtlander, I'm just gonna read all of the books. And so that's what I did. I love the TV show adaptation and I love the books for different reasons, but I think they're both great. I think the best, the most true to the book season that's come out is season 1. On one hand, it's that season is the longest, there's the most episodes, but all of the seasons have been great and I just love that show so much. And I love the books. The next series I want to talk about is Shadow and Bone. I read those books several years ago, maybe 2016 or 2017. And then I did a little reread before the show came out, last year. And I think the show is infinitely better than the books. I did not love the books. I think I gave each book maybe 3 stars. They just feel really, really young to me. And I remember not loving the romances and just feeling kind of so-so about the plot. But the TV adaptation, I think, is really good. I think it does a great job portraying the magic system. I'm so excited for season 2. Another one that I've both read and watched is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I watched the show first and fell in love. If you haven't watched it, if you're gonna watch anything on this list, please watch Normal People. It is so good. The intimacy of the filming and the acting, oh my god, it's so good. So I loved the show so much, I couldn't get enough. So then I decided to go back and read the book because I just wanted to spend more time with the characters. And I really enjoyed the book. I didn't love it quite as much as the show. That angst, you still get it in both the book and the TV show. So I really enjoyed both of those experiences. And then the final recent movie that I watched, whose book I also read, was The Hating Game. And I read the book a few years ago, and I just remember really, really liking it. The hate to love was, you know, funny and paced really well, and I didn't take itself too seriously, and I just like remember really enjoying their chemistry. And the movie adaptation was like, it wasn't great, but as someone who loved the book, I had a fun time watching it. If you hadn't already read the book, I don't think people would like the movie as much, but as a book lover, I really thought the adaptation was fun. This last category are the things that I don't want to read and I don't want to watch. And the first is Dune. I honestly don't know what this book is about. I know Timothée Chalamet is in the movie. I'm not a huge lover of science fiction, and I just don't know that this is going to be something that I like. I feel like I've heard it's quite long and slow, and since that book's original publication, just so much bigger and better sci-fi has come out. I think it would be hard for me to go back and read that, just given some of the really high quality sci-fi and fantasy stuff that I've read recently, like in the last 5 or 10 years. It doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't care about the movie at all. Ooh. Another one that I have no interest in reading or watching is Where the Crawdads Sing. I've heard controversial things about the author, Delia Owens, and so I just don't think I'm all that interested in reading it. I've also heard that the audiobook narration is not great, which is a big turnoff for me in and of itself. Although the actress from Normal People is in Where the Crawdads Sing, I don't know that it's a book or a franchise I want to support, just because, like I said, I know there's been some controversial stuff come up with the author. Another series that I've not really had an interest in reading or watching is American Gods. The books are by Neil Gaiman. This is something that I think I could eventually see myself watching, like if I'm kind of in a show hole and just like wanting some kind of fantasy series to like start afresh, maybe I'll pick that up. But again, it doesn't appeal to me or like what I've been enjoying reading lately or watching lately, so I don't see myself ever picking that up or watching it. The last one, which I'm a little on the fence about watching anyways, is Good Omens. The books are by Terry Pratchett. I know that the cast for Good Omens is really, really strong, and that's probably the only reason why I might eventually watch it, is because the cast is so good. Like, especially Michael Sheen and David Tennant. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I'll watch it someday, maybe. All right, those are all the adaptations that I felt like talking about today. As I said at the beginning, I'd love to know what are some of the books you've already seen and love the adaptations you never want to see, what are books that you'll never read even though you like the TV show. I'd love to know. So leave those comments down below. I hope you were entertained. If you made it to the end, leave the little like movie filming icon. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.